In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at some of my favorite fire starting gear for my Bushcraft kit. Stick around, it's going to be a good video. So on this channel, I always like to highlight some of my favorite pieces of gear, and I do that because I want to show new people, especially new people, some of the options that are out there, because there's so many options choosing different pieces of gear for your bushcraft kit, your survival kit, your get home bag, your bug out bag, whatever you're putting together. There's pieces of gear out there that you need and that you need to know how to use, and there's just so many choices nowadays. So what I've done is I wanted to show things that I really depend on and I think are essential pieces of fire starting gear. Now, fire kits, possibles pouches, which I've shown in the past, survival kits, you need to have a component for making fire, and there's a lot of different methods, right? I like to have redundancies, backups in my fire making kits because to me, the ability to make a fire is very important. I also like to have these extra options instead of just having one because it's kind of fun. I mean, going out in the field, practicing different skills, I want to be able to practice different methods of making fire. I want to use matches, lighters, ferro rods, flint and steel. These are all different methods that you can put into a kit, but you need to be able to be proficient with them and you need to practice with them. So I'm going to show you my favorite pieces of gear today in this video, and hopefully that'll give you some ideas. So let's take a look at what I've assembled and I'll tell you what I think about each of these items. All right, so this is one of my fire kits that I've put together, and it's kind of a hybrid kit. I mean, there's a lot of fire making stuff in here, but there's also a few other necessities, just stuff that I use when I go out in the field, when I'm at camp. Now the pouch that everything is contained in, this is from 3V Gear. This is their Pronto pouch. It's a cool little pouch. Because it's neat because it stands up on its own. So if you're out in the field, out in the woods, you can set this up at camp and it stays sitting up so you can get into it pretty easily. Got a nice grab handle on it. It does come with a shoulder strap and it is MOLLE compatible, so you can put this on the side of a pack. The only thing I've done to mine is I've changed out the zipper pulls and put some 550 cord with these rubber electric shrink tubes and heated those up, and that shrinks down. Just makes for a nice pull, but overall it's a great little pouch, holds everything that I want it to. Now, essential pieces of gear to me, my favorite pieces of fire making gear. I'll go in the front pouch here and I'll show you a few things. First thing is the good old dependable Bic lighter. A lot of options with lighters. I have a lot of different types. I've tried a lot of different types, and the Bic to me is the most reliable of the disposable butanes. I have these everywhere. There's no reason not to have a butane lighter in your gear. It is it's the go-to when you don't have any other way of making a fire. So always have a Bic, have multiples of those. Another favorite piece of fire making starting gear is the Bellows tube. Now what's great about a Bellows tube is you can get a bed of coals or a very marginal wet campfire going pretty quickly with one of these by blowing air into the tinder, into the fire, and heating that air up because you're putting more air into it, so it gets hotter and it creates more volume of flame, and then all of a sudden you got a roaring fire. These are fantastic. Now you can make these yourself. Some guys will take old car antennas and cut them down. It's essentially the same thing, but you want to make sure that it is neck down, so you have a tube at the end that is a wider diameter, and that's what you blow into. and then you have the end, which goes into the fire or next to the fire and blows the air, and that concentrates that air and makes it very strong. Now this is a new one. I don't think I've used this one very much at all, but I have several of these. They're all over my bags and my kits. I always have them in them. The only thing you have to remember with these, you do not exhale when you have this thing in the fire, or you will regret it. Now we open up the pouch. Of course, the ferro rod is the staple of the Bushcrafter's kit. This one, I've had this one for a few years, many years actually. I don't even remember who makes this. I have highlighted other ones that I own. Firefast makes a very similar model to this, with the magnesium on the back, the ferrocerium rod on the front, and then the handle can actually be scraped down and used for tinder. I like ferro rods that have good size handles on them. They're just easier to manipulate. Little ones to me are backups. This size of ferro rod really is easy to work with, and it does have a built-in scraper, comes with it. But if you have a knife with a sharpened spine, you don't need the scraper. But nevertheless, it's a great kit, and it's great to have a scraper just in case. Now another essential piece of fire-making gear that is in all my kits is a piece of fat wood. And if I don't have one, I will have several. Fat wood is a resin impregnated piece of pine. All that sap has concentrated itself in the area of the tree as it's dying, and then now it is very heavily concentrated. You can tell you got a good piece of fat wood by smelling it. It should smell like turpentine. You can see this one has a real nice amber color to it. It is just loaded with resin. So what you can do with this is you shave off pieces, put that into a tinder pile underneath your twigs, and you will get your campfire going pretty darn quick. So this is a foolproof method of starting a fire. If you've got wet tinder or wet branches or twigs, this will help because it burns nice and hot and it burns a long time. Another essential piece of equipment for me is a match safe and weatherproof matches or storm matches. Now this brass container, I will try to find a link and put it down in the description below. So check that out if you're interested in one of these. But this is a brass tube. It has a gasket seal, but it also has a quality compass built into it. Really a nice match safe. But there's a lot of different ones out there. Now, as far as matches that I like to use, the good old UCO Storm Matches that you get at Walmart and all over the internet are fantastic. They do a great job. They burn a long time. But the great thing about them is you can get them wet and they will restart up. So it's another good option and a good weatherproof option to have in your fire kit. One of my most favorite ways of starting fire is with flint and steel. I've demonstrated this on several of my videos. I'm surprised that more people don't mess with it. It is a very old way. It's been around for a very, very long time. I've seen flint strikers dating back to the Viking period. So it's always been a way of starting a fire. And I like having it in my kit because it's a great practice method. It's fun to teach other people. It is an old technology. So it's not essential, but if you're bushcrafting and camping, having these different kinds of things to play with and to practice with, I think is just fun. So you need a good quality piece of flint, and you need a nice striker. And you can see I hit that just right, and it doesn't take very much. Big sparks come off of this, and then what I do is, and I'll demonstrate in my video, char cloth that's already been made. I keep this in my tin. I keep pre-made char cloth, and then I also keep material to make more char cloth in my tin. That way I have stuff ready to go and stuff ready to make for future fire. So that's important too. Let's see if I can do this. Oh, there we go. Okay, transfer that in to my bundle. And with your flint and steel, you want to have a container. You don't need anything fancy. A good old Altoids tin will work. The reason you have a container is because you are going to be making char cloth in this container, and that process is very simple. So on the bottom of my tin, I have a piece of leather that's going to help protect the char cloth below it, but also I can use this to hold on to the flint if I need to. You're going to want cotton material to make your char cloth. This is just an old pair of work pants that have been cut up. And then you're going to put this into your container. You're going to close it, seal it. There's a little hole there. This goes into your bed of coals in your campfire. Then you let that set until it stops smoking. Once that's done, it's usually 5 to 10 minutes. You pull that out, and then what you have is a blackened, charred piece of material that will catch a spark very easily. Keeping it all together with a piece of bicycle inner tube cut down is fantastic, because the inner tube itself can be cut up and used as a tinder to start a fire. Because it is a petroleum-based product, it will start a fire very quickly and burn very hot. Another thing I like to carry with the flint and steel is having some jute twine that has been processed down to a very fine material. This can be the basis of my nest that I'm going to create. And I can add dry grass to this and other material that I find in the woods and make myself my bundle. But this will catch a spark and take a flame very quickly, and it will ignite very quickly. It's kind of a flash tinder in that it goes fast, but it is a great piece of fire starting gear to have in your bushcraft kit. I always have some kind of backup tinder cube in my kit. There's a lot of different recipes for making your own with cotton balls and Vaseline and other types of accelerants. Now these are from a company called BLACK&WHITE Firestarter. I believe these are on Etsy, and I'll have a link to his shop below. But these are his man-made tinders, and he has a whole bunch of different types of tinders that he puts together. I've done videos of them in the past. They're fantastic. It's a resin impregnated cotton ball, but man, it takes a spark and it burns quick and hot. But you want to open it up and get that surface area. That way when you're hitting it with sparks, you got a greater chance of getting them in there. Look at that, boom, right away. So another little piece of gear that sometimes I carry in my fire kits, my survival kits, is a magnifying lens. Sometimes these are called Fresnel lenses. It's definitely a trick on starting a fire with one of these. You can obviously take that jute twine that's been processed down and create a nest with that, and then hold this over that in direct sunlight, and this will create a very powerful beam, and it will get a fire going. So solar ignition is another very old method of starting fires. Something I don't do a lot of, but once again, if you're in camp with some new people, it's a fantastic thing to pull out and show someone and let them try it, especially kids. They love it. It's a really cool thing to do. All right, that is some of my favorite pieces of gear that I carry in my survival kits, fire kits, or possibles pouches. Always have a combination of these things to work with. And hopefully that gives you some ideas of some things that you can try and get. Just make sure that when you're buying this stuff that you're getting quality stuff. Ferro rods range in all kinds of different types and qualities, from the really low-end Chinese manufactured ones to the more high-end Austrian ones that you'll find. Of course, Light My Fire is a very good quality fire steel. Armageddon, there's different companies out there that sell really quality ones. That's what you want to gravitate towards. Firefast, one that I've done a review on before. So lots of different options out there, but start assembling your kit and then get out in the woods and practice with this stuff, because it is satisfying, it's fun, and then once you master it, take a kid out and teach them how to do some of this stuff, because it's always great as a bushcrafter to pass on your skills and your knowledge to the next generation so they can do the same. All right, guys, hope this video was helpful. I will see you next time. Thank you so much for watching my videos. Please check out the affiliate links down below. That helps out the channel. Check out the new website, preparedwanderer.com. And we'll see you next time on the Prepared Wanderer. Thanks for watching.